Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, and turn on notifications so that you will receive alerts when there are new episodes. Go get it.
That's what I tell 'em. I've been grinding for so long, I wake up and chase my goals. I go out and I go get it. Hot or cold, that's all I know. I don't succeed, then I don't breathe. Success, what does it mean? If I conquer all my goals, then I'm living out my dream. Dig deep, go out and get it. Success Chronicles. Compete until it's finished. Success Chronicles. Go take care of your business. Success Chronicles. It's deeper than just winning. Success Chronicles.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Chip Baker coming to you with another episode of the Success Chronicles. And we have Miss Tina Richards Cassidy on with us, a great lady that's doing some pretty neat things, and so excited to have her on and highlight her. So first, thanks so much for taking the time to interview with the Success Chronicles.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, yes. Well, as we, dive into your story, I know you just, you have a new project out. And so
Yeah.
if you don't mind, just kind of talk to us about, your journey, who you are, and that new project.
Yeah, thank you. So listen, up until about 8 years ago, my life was a hot mess, right? And my story really, it's about resilience and growth and really kind of unwavering determination.
Hmm.
I was raised in a lower socioeconomic upbringing. I've had a tumultuous, and I use that loosely, childhood. I was a teen mom. I've loved not one, but two addicts. In the span of 5 months, I almost lost my brother and my dog. I did lose my dad, and I did lose, my grandpa. And, the list goes on. And I guess when we look at, the book I just released, the first few parts really talks about, it gives a glimpse of my backstory, right? I share my experiences, my challenges, some pivotal moments that really helped, shaped who I was. So in those chapters, I kind of delve into the struggles I faced, the lessons I learned, and then the mindset kind of I carried with me for many years. Then kind of as, part two kind of goes, or act two goes on, the book progresses, right? And the focus shifts towards my transformation. And, what I started doing was shedding old patterns, and I was kind of embracing new perspectives. And I was really stepping into like a new version of myself that I never thought was possible, given my inherited life. So like you, I'm really, passionate about self-development. For over 6 years, I dedicated myself to personal development training, and I really kind of immersed myself in in each week. And I did this not only to really improve, the quality of my life, and my way of being and how I show up in the world. But really, I did it because I wanted to impact, like you, the lives of the people around me.
Yeah.
So really, my purpose is to leave others, empowered and emboldened, right, to create new opportunities for themselves so that they can really feel enlivened to take action into moving their life forward, right? For me, it's not just being a yes to life, it's being
Hmm.
a hell yes to life. Like, let's
Come
go,
on.
like you
Let's
say.
go get it.
Right?
Love it.
Let's go.
I love it. So good. Well, what are three things you've accomplished in your life that you're proud of?
You know, if you'd asked me this before, I would have probably said they were materialistic things.
Hmm.
And I think as we kind of go through those journeys, I look at things, completely differently. And I look back now, and I would say one of the things I'm ridiculously proud of is, I've broken a pattern of parenting, right, that had been passed down through generations in my family. One that created, disconnection and fear and hurt and struggle. And, when I became a mom at 18, like I knew I didn't want that for my daughter, right? I realized that I had the power to change those inherited ways of being by choosing new ones, right? So being loving, being present, being
Yeah.
understanding. Hey, I
Yeah.
was 18. I just had to figure this stuff out. But by living that, I was able to create a different experience for my kids, right? And then, break that cycle that's been running in my family for so long. And so it wasn't just about me. It was about really, giving my kids a different childhood, so one that they could carry forward to my future grandchildren, right, and beyond. So, and now what do? I help others break patterns in, their lives, and showing them how to create the change that they want to see. So I think that's probably number one. Number two, I'd probably say forgiveness, forgiving the people who've hurt me. And for me, a lot of people say like, "Oh, forgiveness, how can you forgive them?" It's not always in my opinion anyway, it's not always about the religious sense of the word.
Hmm.
It's in the sense of it being a choice to release the weight that I'd been carrying, right?
Yeah.
I got that holding on to that anger and that resentment, it wasn't just
Hmm.
hurting me, it was really keeping me stuck in the past back there. And, I chose to forgive, for my own sake, for my own peace of mind. So it was kind of about freeing myself from that pain. So I think that was a really big one.
Yep.
And I think the other one, if you were to ask me, it's really learning to step outside of my comfort zone and live an unreasonable life. Um, I think, from climbing Mount Everest base camp to summiting Pico de Loro in the Colombian Andes to a couple of years ago, completing a 65-kilometer nonstop trek in the dead of winter, right? Like those were things I would never have done before. And each of those challenges was really unique, and they all
Yeah.
tested me in like such different ways, right? So if you look at it, right, like, summiting Everest base camp, Trevor, like that was, tough, no doubt, right? You have high altitude, you have steep climbs, you have the constant, like, physical drain of those long days. So that was pretty cool. So you get to stand there and you look up at the world's highest peak, and you get to really feel like a sense of awe and smallness in the world, and accomplishment. And I remember looking up, once we had reached the peak and we were heading back, I remember looking back at the Kumbu Glacier and just crying in complete gratitude. Like, you feel so small in the world, right? So I thought
Hmm.
that was amazing. Pico de Loro in the Andes, different experience, definitely no less intense. The climb was grueling because you're
Yeah.
going up like this. But getting to that peak, right, to get to the summit was like incredible. And then the hike, it's battling the nonstop freezing rain, battling the elements. And I guess what all those have in common, was really, it was all a test of, endurance and
Come on.
mental toughness,
Come
right?
on.
And in
Yeah.
those, yeah, and when those moments where, man, I wanted to quit, right? I had to dig deep. I discovered, just how I could push through. And it wasn't just about reaching the finish line or getting to that peak. It was really about proving to myself that, like, I could really do anything. Like, I can
Mm.
do anything. And that's my goal, is I want to show people, right? You can do anything with the right mindset and getting complete
Love
with
it.
your past. And like, yeah. So I think those are probably the three main things. I think they're pretty big.
Yeah, yeah. I think they're pretty big too. Uh, well, just hearing you talk about your journey, the things that you're involved in, the things that you have going on, uh, the three pretty big things that you're proud of. I would consider all of that to be hugely successful. So let's hit on success. What is your definition of success?
Yeah, and as I've grown as a person, I think for all of us, right, that's really changed for me. Before it used to be, having the Infinity or the Land Rover in the driveway and having my Louis Vuitton. Not so much, right? For me, now if I look at success, it's about living a life that aligns with my values and my purpose.
Hmm.
It means being able to, look at where I am and who I've become and the relationships that I've built, and then, feel proud of the journey that I've taken, right? About overcoming those challenges, growing from them, and using that growth to help others. Yeah, I guess help others along the way, and building meaningful connections and authenticity, and yeah, creating a life I love to live. And I guess one that at the end of the day, like, when I can lay my head down at night
Come on.
And oh, I'm gonna get choked up there. But
Come
when I
on.
lay my head at
Yep.
not, down at night, it's like knowing I done good. You know,
Yeah.
I did good in the world. I showed up and I done good today. And yeah, that's what I'm here for. And that's really what I want everybody to get out of life.
Awesome. So good. Well, what I want to do now is, if you don't mind, just maybe throw a couple words or phrases at you, and you just talk about what comes to mind or to heart when you hear these words or phrases. You okay with that?
Oh, yeah. Okay, let's go.
Let's get it. All right. So let's
Let's get
go.
it.
Let's go. Living and learning.
Constant growth. Failure's
Yeah.
okay.
Mm, I like that. I like that. All right. Let's go with adapting and adjusting.
Good ones. Necessary. I have this thing in my book and I call it, pivot, pivot, pivot. I kind of created the pause and pivot method, and you just have to. Life is static, right? Pause, pivot. Have the courage to take the first step, right? And then pivot when you need to. But for the love of all things holy, get going.
I love it. So good. All right. The last one I'm going to give you, Tina. I'm going to pause a little bit before I give you this one. And then I'm going to lean in and say, hey, this is the good one right here. This is the good one.
Okay.
And
No
the
pressure,
last
no
one,
pressure.
yeah, no pressure. We're going to have a good time. The, the last one I want to give you is legacy.
Ooh. Oh, snap.
I told you.
Yeah. I've thought a lot about my legacy. I think as I'm getting up there in age, ripe old age of 50 now. So, I've thought a lot about that. And I think it goes back to, my definition of success. I want people to be like, she was here. She was here. She loved. She made a difference. She mattered, and I'm a better person because of her, like, because she was here. And I think that's where it's at for me.
So good. Well, as we close, I'd love for you to get an opportunity to share with the audience where they can go pick up the new book, the new
Oh,
project, and tell us about that, where they can go check it out, and your social media so they can
thank
go
you.
show you some love.
All right. Well, this is it. This is my book, Live Your Dreams, Not Your Drama, out now on Amazon, on all platforms. You can get it on .com.ca and all platforms. Also at my website, www.tinarichards.ca. And on Instagram, you can reach me at Tina Richards. You know what? I might have to, we'll put that in the description.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
on my Facebook page at Tina Richards Author.
There you go. There you go. Well, again,
Thank
Tina,
you.
yeah, I just want to say thanks so much for taking the time to interview with the Success Chronicles. Truly appreciate it, and I wish you continued success.
Man, thank you so much. And like I said, thank you for everything that you do. You got a big heart and you're out there making a difference. And thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you for the kind words. And thank you guys for checking out this episode. We'll see you next time. God bless.
God bless.
Go get it.